an incredibly exciting year at Bethesda Game Studios. Given some of that excitement, impressed you're still here.
Haha! Look at the affected corporate self-deprecation, guys! They're so self-aware. They're so on our level. You don't get to make the jokes about this, Bethesda. You are the joke. Boggling. At the tail end of last year, I produced a video called 6 Times Bethesda Was Massively Incompetent. And even when I published that video, I worried that Bethesda's ineptitude is so frequent and so constant that it wasn't a video that could be set in any kind of stone. They would always find some new way to mess up, some new disaster for us. And, well, I was right, because the humiliation conga line for Fallout 76 was only just getting started, and oh my word, what a spicy few months it's been since that game squirted itself into our faces, hasn't it? It is time at last, although they could always find some new way to mess up, to do a post-nuclear post-mortem of Fallout 76. And don't worry, I saw the Bethesda E3 press conference. We'll talk about that as well. Here we go! Take me the buggering flick home, country roads.
We both know why you're here, and that's to talk about the next Fallout.
Oh, if only they knew what they were cheering for. At its E3 press conference in 2018, Bethesda revealed to the world what the next Fallout would be. A prequel to every Fallout that had come before, Fallout 76. Todd Howard proclaimed it the biggest Fallout yet, 4 times the size of the original, but after showing off a pre-rendered trailer, things became almost instantly concerning, with Bethesda unveiling an always-online survival game that seemed to cynically jump aboard the live service bandwagon that was steadily ruining the so-called AAA games market. With yet another single-player focused studio trying to adopt the service model, there was a lot of well-deserved skepticism floating about. But how bad could it really be, right? That's what you could have been thinking at the time. How bad could it be? Bethesda surely got this locked up. And Todd Howard said it's gonna be good. Todd Howard said it's gonna be good. He said, you can play it solo if you want. There'll be engaging quests and stories to get involved with. And if Todd Howard said it, well, it's gotta be true. Oh wait, no, that's not how it works. Oh no, what happens when Todd says something? I'm gonna have to check the manual. Hold on, I've got a manual for these sorts of things. Sorry, I'm just checking the book. Where are we? Todd Howard. Okay. Todd Howard and... Oh, there's just a picture of a horny cow doing a poo here. Fair enough. In all truth, at the time, it was hard to tell exactly how Fallout 76 would turn out. I personally refused to have much of an opinion about it at all until it was finally in my hands. Direct hands-on previews from the gaming press didn't offer much, remaining cautiously optimistic as they were, which is basically how 99% of game previews present. However, a lot of the pre-release press tried hard to warn their audiences not to expect a real Fallout sequel, echoing sentiments from Bethesda's own development team. In a preview article from Variety, Fallout 76 design director Emil Pagliarillo delivered their own warning in a way that now seems remarkably poignant. For players who want Fallout 5, and this isn't Fallout 5, are they going to enjoy playing this game? He said. I wonder about that. I worry about that. It doesn't really get more fateful than that, does it, folks? The game's own project lead openly wondering if Fallout fans would enjoy the latest Fallout game. A question that in retrospect seems almost tragic. Because, and I'm being completely diplomatic here, Fallout 76 was total dog shit. Before the world could see just how awful the game was, however, fans had already mobilised to protest the lack of a true single-player mode. A petition was formed, because of course it was, to request a real solo mode of Bethesda. The lone wanderer was meant to wander alone, read the petition, which accrued thousands of signatures in one day. Sure, it would be fun to play with others and experience the wasteland alongside other real players, but the heart of Fallout has always been conquering the wasteland by yourself. While one can laugh at online petitions, and I often do because so many of them are fucking clownish, the sentiment behind this protest is one I agree with. I find Bethesda games to be very personal experiences when they're done right. I specifically come to Bethesda for that lonesome experience of facing off against the world by myself. For Bethesda to explicitly not do one of the things they do best dampened my expectations for the game dramatically. And when it came out, it became clear this refusal to play to Bethesda's own strengths would turn out to be the entire core philosophy of their shit-awful product. Fallout 76 was released on November 14th, 2018, and it was the utter fucking pits. A bad idea, executed badly. Bethesda had managed to strip away every single thing that made their games the critical darlings they'd been up until that point. It's not that the concept of multiplayer in Fallout is inherently a bad idea, but Bethesda's concept of what such a game should look like was completely ridiculous. Rather than try to make a genuine Fallout experience with online elements, Bethesda instead decided to take away engaging storylines, take away the clever writing, take away even basic NPCs and settlements for God's sake, because they expected the players to build it all for them, to be each other's NPCs, to make their own fun, to make the video game. And there's a major problem with that. That's not how most players operate. That, and you would rather hope that the game developers would be the ones to develop the game, not the people who bought the bloody thing. If you did find a player in the West Virginian landscape, you'd find them doing what you were trying to do, desperately searching for a scrap of engaging gameplay in this barren, desolate, content-dry wasteland of a wasteland. I certainly rarely got to interact with any of them, and if I did, it would be to get shot at by them. Because it was online, Fallout's classic VATS system, where the action pauses to allow for specific locked-on attacks, had to be completely retooled, and by retooled, I do of course mean utterly ruined. It was basically an automatic lock-on feature in real time, and it didn't frigging work. Because enemies would move around a lot, the percentile chance to hit when locked on was in a constant and dramatic flux, going from 90% chances to hit to 3% chances to hit in less than 1 full second at any given time. It soon became apparent that using VATS did more harm than good, and one had better accuracy firing without it. The problem with manual gunplay, however, was that Bethesda's first-person combat had always been an archaic, clumsy, inaccurate mess, and classic VATS had gone a long way to covering up just how clunky and mechanically stilted the real-time shooting was. With a VATS that hurt more than it helped, the roughness, the shoddiness of Bethesda's combat was laid thoroughly bare. Which again was Fallout 76's problem in a nutshell. Bethesda has a lot of faults. Its games are buggy as hell, almost amateur hour at times, its assets often recycled and its mechanics consistently outdated. But they were good at making involving quests, fun little townships, and a world people could easily find themselves lost in. All of that was gone with Fallout 76. There were no towns, no characters, no involving storylines, the world was populated by robots, and any human characters appeared via audio logs. You got to retroactively hear other characters going on adventures without really going on any yourself. You were following in the footsteps of what felt like the actual Fallout protagonists who'd been part of what sounded like an actual Fallout story. I spent my first 4 hours with Fallout 76 waiting for the game to start. Because I'd avoided much of the game's pre-release build on purpose, I didn't know I was stepping into a Bethesda game that lacked every positive trait a Bethesda game was supposed to have. And the worst part was, for everything Bethesda had torn away, it replaced the missing positives with nothing. total fucking nothing. For all its hype, for all its investment, for all its promise, all Fallout 76 really turned out to be was a bargain basement survival game. Just another one, just another survival game. Several years after the survival game boom had died down, it was nothing but an empty world with no actual point to it. I spent hours looking for the reason to play, the justification for what felt like pointless rambling. I found myself asking, to what ends am I playing Fallout 76? But as the hours wore on and the stakes neither raised nor lowered, I realised the answer was nothing. The game featured nothing more compelling than picking up shit to build shit and then picking up some more shit. It was Rust with a license. It was Minecraft without the Minecraft. You know, I spent those first 4 hours looking for a town or a city. I know, stupid, right? Because again, I didn't know the game lacked the things I play Bethesda games for. How foolish I felt when it became clear that Fallout 76 had nothing. That you're only supposed to play Fallout 76 for the sheer sake of playing Fallout 76. And if I'm gonna play a game just for the sake of playing it, I'm gonna play one that's actually fucking fun. I'm not gonna wait months, years, for your roadmap to roll out, for you to actually bother to put some content in, Bethesda. So many games have come out between Fallout 76's release and now, and I'm busy playing those. I'm not wasting my time. I didn't waste my time meandering about your digital oblivion waiting for you to finally give me something to care about. Todd. And of course, Bethesda being Bethesda, they had no demonstrable experience or even basic competence with running Fallout 76's online features. I'll go as far as to say they had no fucking business running an always online game like this. It would frequently lock up and disconnect, and because Bethesda had no clue what they were doing, your progress was not guaranteed to be saved should you be tossed back into the main menu. I frequently found myself having to replay up to 5 minutes of progress that got lost whenever the connection failed. And given how dire the experience was, 5 minutes felt like an eternity, especially if said 5 minutes involved a lot of trashy combat. To this day, I still cannot get my head around how fucking neglectful this was. As I explained, Fallout 76 played to exactly none of Bethesda's strengths, having willfully scrapped all of the things that made their games beloved. And this is where they really screwed themselves over, because without the stuff that usually protected them from critical savaging, their faults and their incompetencies were laid bare for the world to see. Without the writing, the atmosphere, and authenticity backing them up, the lackluster visuals, sloppy gameplay, and endless parade of broken bugs had no shield, no filter. It was more obvious than ever. When I first reviewed the game, I said it was a mess even by Bethesda's usual standards. On reflection, I wonder if that's true, or if it was just that Bethesda offered so little of the good stuff that the bad stuff simply soaked into my experience more readily. Either way, for a company with so many bugs and breakages in their work as Bethesda, taking away everything that distracted from said problems and replacing them with precisely nothing remains one of the most boneheaded, laughable, and pathetic things the company's ever done. And given their track record of inadequacy, that's really saying something. Sitting at a 52 on Metacritic, which is absolutely appalling by AAA game review standards, and a miserable 2.7 average among user reviews, it's safe to say that Fallout 76 was a critical flop. And this is all before Bethesda continued shitting the bed with its post-launch messes. You know your game's off to a good start when you discount the price heavily after a week, but with Black Friday being November 21st in 2018, the critically maligned Fallout 76 was marked down by a whopping 33%, adding instant fuel to the raging trash fire that the game had already become over 7 short days. Since cutting the price to $39 at select retailers, Fallout 76 would see another price reduction, Cyber Monday seeing the game drop to $35 on Amazon. It was an amazingly tasteless move considering how bad the game was being received and how many disappointed players had already spent $60 on the thing. Once again, Bethesda managed to score an own goal and highlight its own damn flaws. I mean, what better way is there to compound how badly the game's being received than to rub lemon juice in the eyes of people who already bought it? On December 16th, the console versions would be cut to $30 on Amazon. Jesus fucking Christ. Fallout 76 was either as broken as any Bethesda game or more broken, with the company acknowledging frustrating issues. But just as aggravating was the game's pathetically limited weight and storage limits, stuff they'd actually designed. Seemingly developed for no other reason than to screw with players, only 400 items, later expanded to 600, could be stored in a game predominantly about collecting and storing shit. What's more, the player's carry capacity was a joke. You'd get weighed down and slow to a crawl after pretty much any collection run. At its most extreme, it was discovered bobby pins weighed 60 times more in the game than they do in real life. Because of course. Bobby pins would be more realistically weighted in a later patch, but a patch that came after that would make them heavy again. Because why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't a new fix break the old fix? Classic Bethesda. Todd Howard would later note that somebody sent him some physical bobby pins in the mail with a note attached that said, "Weigh these." Another major issue involved nukes, one of the features Bethesda promoted most. In Fallout 76, you can launch nuclear missiles, if you find the launch codes, and because they were such a heavily marketed feature of the game, Fallout 76 had to absolutely nail them. Naturally, Bethesda fucked them up. Firstly, they were broken within one bloody day as cheaters cracked the launch codes required, and then released a cipher online allowing others to do the same. 4 days later, it was discovered that firing 3 nukes at once would crash the server. Yep, that sounds about right. Not long after, Fallout 76 celebrated New Year's Day with a bug that completely disabled the nukes by accident. It was temporary, but it perfectly encapsulated what a fuck-up Bethesda is. It was like that notorious time in Skyrim when the dragons were glitched out and started flying backwards. Dragons, the one thing they should have got right more than anything else, and in true Bethesda fashion they dropped the ball, pissed on the ball, and then tried to fuck the ball in an abandoned quarry. Stop marketing a single feature in your games, Bethesda. You're gonna fuck them up. But these shenanigans paled in comparison to that bag thing. Yes, one of the most notorious examples of blatant lies and false advertising in recent gaming history, Fallout 76's $200 Power Armor Edition promised a bevy of goodies, including a posh-looking canvas bag. Now, while many collector's editions are overpriced pieces of garbage, this was a whole new level, because despite clearly advertising a canvas bag, explicitly even using the word canvas, what customers got instead of this nice looking duffel was this nylon atrocity. This wasn't just an item looking inferior to the promo shots, this was a literal bait and switch situation. Making matters worse, when initially asked about it, customer support said, "The bag shown in the media was a prototype and was too expensive to make. We aren't planning on doing anything about it." Oh no. Bethesda would obviously be forced to apologise for that goof, and it offered 500 atoms, Fallout 76's microtransaction currency, to angered players. This was a pathetic amount. Sorry, a pathetic amount. Unable to buy much of anything, it felt more like an exploitatively cynical way for Bethesda to just get people invested in its in-game economy. 500 atoms, it turned out, wasn't even enough to buy the mail carrier skin that had the in-game version of the canvas bag! Bethesda! Todd! Oh, Todd, my sweet Todd. Bethesda blamed the bag situation on... I knew this would happen. I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh at a disaster of a game, but at some point you start wondering if you're recapping what happened with a game or you're recapping an episode of Faulty Bloody Towers. Bethesda blamed the bag situation on unavailability of materials, which even if there had been a mass canvas shortage we'd never heard about, wouldn't excuse the false advertising they continued to utilise to sell the collector's edition. Then it turned out that a different bag made of canvas had been given to press and influencers, and that turned out so well for them. Best PR move ever. Eventually, Bethesda would offer a real recompense for those who bought the special edition under false pretenses, and yes, say it with me, they managed to fuck even that up. When players were encouraged to register their complaints with Bethesda Net support, a number of them were accidentally granted access to the support system itself, which showed them the credit card information, home addresses, and emails of others who'd submitted tickets. Roughly 65 people had their personal info leaked within a 45-minute time span, and just Wow. Fucking wow, Bethesda. These were already people you'd upset by selling them a falsely advertised product. And then you leak their info. Well done, chums. Half a year later, and Bethesda had not replaced the canvas bags as promised. Only now, as I speak, is the company finally preparing to ship them. Presumably they'll arrive without a hitch and look as advertised, but knowing Bethesda, there's always a chance they'll manage to mess it up, like inadvertently filling the bags with burned dog bones and spider's eggs before mailing them. In between all this, Bethesda had to ban a player for sustained homophobic harassment. Not their fault that this pudfuck was doing that, but the story itself wasn't exactly sunshine and rainbows. When is it when it comes to Fallout 76? After that whole mess, Bethesda started going back on its promise that this shitty game's shitty premium store would be cosmetic only. The arrival of repair kits, which lets players, well, repair their items, was quickly lambasted as pay-to-win mechanics, which, yeah, they kinda were. At any rate, item degradation in Fallout 76 was a common aggravating problem, armor and weapons ready to fall apart all the time. In offering premium repair kits that didn't use up the player's materials, Bethesda had done what many slimy publishers like to do. They sold a solution to a problem they'd invented. Bethesda itself decided items should degrade, and at what rate that degradation occurs, neither of which do anything to enhance the actual gameplay, only stifle it. On top of all that, it flew in the face of what Bethesda's own Pete Hines said when he said, "The Atomic Shop is cosmetic stuff." The advantage provided by repair kits was only slight, but it was nonetheless an advantage, one that was being sold on the so-called cosmetic storefront, because they just couldn't fucking help themselves. All of which brings us to Todd Howard basically admitting he knew Fallout 76 wasn't all that fucking good in the first place.
But we knew that going into this. We knew it's
Yeah.
not that, right?
Yeah.
You would say, look, this isn't a game, even from the beginning, this is not going to be like, you know, high Metacritic game. That's not what this is, given what it is. But we felt strongly this is a game we want to play. This is something we really want to do. And all of the games like this, whether it's us or somebody else, you can go back and look at them. There's a period once you launch. It's not how you launch, it's what it becomes. And, you know.
Yes, it's what the game becomes, Todd. And what has Fallout 76 become exactly, Todd? A joke, Todd? A laughingstock, Todd? A product, Todd, over which Bethesda lied on more than one occasion? A game that had 3 price cuts within its first month? That's what it became, Todd. That's what it became. Fallout 76 was a multiplayer component of Fallout 4 that was repackaged and sold as its own shoddy, unfinished nonsense because executives saw how many people still play Skyrim and they were upset that Skyrim had no microtransactions to sell to those people. I mean, that's basically what you implied.
If you look at a Skyrim and Fallout 4, those things, the amount of people that play those games still is, I mean, you can look it up on this. It's staggering.
Yeah.
Millions and millions of people every month playing those games, and we have no touch point with them.
Right.
Right? It's just like, we ship the game, we do some mod stuff, but here you go. And so 76 was also, we need to learn how to be engaging and being able to update and see what players are doing and like be more engaged in that experience than 0. Engaging.
Yeah, that's more or less it, right? Because even you can't give up on the allure of having a 24/7 connection to your players that you can exploit for financial gain. Because you, Bethesda, like every other 2-bit sleazebag corporation, is less interested in games than you are in these services. Because you are willing to humiliate yourself over and over if it means you can jump aboard the live service bandwagon, which you're not even very good at, because you're more comedically imbecilic than Police Academy. That is, was, and forever will be Fallout 76's legacy. That's what the game became. It's not a video game, it's an unofficial Police Academy sequel. In preparation for today's Post-Mortem, I went back to Fallout 76 so many months later, and before I fired it up, I thought to myself, you know what, maybe they have made some dramatic improvements in all that time. Since November, maybe they have done some hard work and made this game something special. No, I was stunned by how bad it still was. Terrible AI, boring escort missions and crap like that, bereft of the players that are supposed to be there making the content, visually hideous, lots of glitches and things in the environment just breaking and not working correctly, and this was all within the first 20 minutes of playing. To say nothing of things like lag in the combat where you shoot something and you think, is it dead? And then a second or two later it falls over as if it's just remembered to be shot. Terrible, an utter disaster. And then, Bethesda took to the stage with a fittingly piss-coloured golden shower rendered on the screen behind them for most of the time, and he got a rapturous applause from a seemingly quite drunk audience for announcing such groundbreaking features as NPCs and quest lines and meaningful choices in a Fallout game.
That's right.
They got a round of applause for saying NPCs would be in a Fallout game. And that just says it all, doesn't it, folks? When you set the bar as low as they have, getting an inch off the ground looks like a giant leap for mankind, doesn't it? Well, I see through it, it's a load of bollocks. What they've announced is the game approaching not even finished status, I would say a started status, and they got themselves all of this applause for doing basic fucking Fallout gameplay. NPCs getting a round of applause. Quest lines and choices that mean something. Dialogue trees. All of the shit that's been in all of the other games. But then that was Bethesda's E3 conference overall, wasn't it? Announcing shit that they did years ago, as if it's something new. Oh my god, dragons! Dragons in Elder Scrolls Online! Elder Scrolls Blades on the Switch! Fuck off! Fuck off! Your game is bad, and you are bad, and you should feel bad. Thank God for me. You know, I had the pride tie and the pride gloves and everything, even some rainbowy glasses, but green screen, innit? So, fuck my gay life.